So in yesterday's stream, we were at chapter 12. So at chapter 12, mutating data. So we have all the things like we have created server actions, then we have used it with the forms, and we have created a. If I go to invoices, we have create invoice. We can create an invoice for any customer, like Hector Simpson. Can add a value, then it's select radio button paid, then click on create invoice. Hector Simpson invoice is created with amount $500. It's paid, and then we can even edit. After creating, we can edit this record, like I want to just reduce or increase the amount, suppose, and then even clicking on edit, our record will be edited. Now it's $600. So that was what we have implemented in the previous chapter. So after that, pass ID to the server action. In app invoices edit form, they say that passing ID like this in form action attribute will not work. You can pass ID to server action using JS bind. They have passed update invoice ID with the invoice ID dot bind null invoice dot ID. So they have then we have to just provide this function inside action attribute, then it will work. So we can then edit our form. We have also already in our action.ts added update invoice. Close this, close some our action.ts. Okay, we have already added update invoice server action. So as you can see in server actions, we are getting the form data in the from form data, and then we are running a SQL query. So we don't actually need a API endpoint. We are directly using server actions for forms. So now after that, what we missed was deleting an invoice. Delete an invoice using a server action wrap a delete button in a form. UI invoices buttons delete invoice. We have to wrap the delete button in a form element. Okay, we have to let me do it here. Form action, we have to copy this. Let me refresh this. Stream quality is good. Export function delete invoice. Then inside this delete, they have written const delete invoice with ID. Invoice invoice with ID. So for that you can use delete invoice from actions. We can first import. Why we're doing this? Okay. Okay, so we want to delete on the click on the of the this button. That's why I think. What was the name of that delete invoice? From actions.ts. Have we added delete invoice? I think not. We have not yet added. Delete invoice, delete from invoice where ID equals to ID. In this we will import invoice from lib actions. Then what we will do is use delete in bind delete invoice, then provide null, then after that ID. Then we will provide this delete invoice with ID. Inside this we'll provide form here, right? Okay, since this section is current dashboard, so you don't need to call redirect. Calling redirect path will trigger a new server request and it under the table. So now let me delete a record 70 or 70. Let's delete his record. Okay, record is deleted. So let's see what's next. In this chapter, we'll learn how to use server actions to manipulate data. You will also learn how to use relate path API to evaluate the Next.js cache and redirect to direct the user to a new page. You can also read about security with server actions for additional learning. Okay, you have completed chapter 12. Now next is handling errors. What's this? Now you can learn how to handle errors gracefully using JavaScript, try-catch statements and Next.js APIs. Here we will learn how to use special error.tsx file to catch errors in your route segment and show a fallback UI to customer. Okay, how to use the not found function and not found file to handle for your errors for resources that do not exist. So what is the inside our actions they have created our invoice. Okay, they have put the SQL command inside try catch. Catch error. Then inside error return message. What will the message? Database error. Fail to create invoice. Database error. Fail to create invoice. Okay, this is inside the create invoice, and we can show this data. What is that inside? update. We can just update the whole update server actions, then also update this delete. It's now inside try catch and it is returning the message like if in the create invoice server action, if our invoice is not created for some reason, it will say database error, failed to create invoice. If there is an error in updating our invoice, it will say dashboard database error, failed to update invoice. If it is in some error arises in deleting the invoice, it will say database error, failed to delete invoice. So that is how we will do. Now how redirect is being called outside. So try catch block. This is because redirect works by throwing an error which should got So now let's check now how redirect. Let's check what happens when an error is thrown on your server action. You can do the throwing an error earlier. For example, in did action throw an error at the top of the function. Okay, throw new error. Okay, error. Failed to delete an invoice. Failed to delete invoice. So if we try to delete any record, it will throw a failed to delete an invoice. Okay, so it has even give us a snapshot of our code where this error occurred. That's a really nice feature of Next.js. We also want to show errors to users to avoid an abrupt failure and allow your application to continue running. So where Next.js error files, this is where Next.js error.tsx files come in. Handling all errors with error.tsx. Error.tsx files can be used to define UI boundary for route segment. It serves as a catch-all for unexpected errors and allows you to display fallback UI to your users. Okay, inside your dashboard invoices folder, create a new file called errors.tsx. Paste the following code. Inside our dashboard invoices, we'll create a new file errors.tsx. So we will copy this code, paste it here. So this is the code. We have created the error function, error pro and reset props. Okay, so this is the UI created. There are a few things you will notice about the code. Use client arrow needs to be a use client component. Okay, if accepts true props, arrow this object is an instant JavaScript's native arrow object. Reset, this is a function to reset error boundary. When executed, the function will try to re-render the route segment. When you try to delete an invoice again, you should see the following UI. Okay, again let's try to delete an invoice. No, it's not happening. Okay, where we have to actually put the error.tsx. We have put in dashboard invoices. Okay, we have created inside this. Let's close this dashboard invoices, click on invoices and check if we can okay. I have put it inside this. Let's close this. Let's try to run our server again. Click on invoices, not delete. Still it's showing what's the error, but its error page seems to not work now in my case. Wait, is this error? Okay, error.tsx. I have named it errors. It's a typo. If I click on this, okay, we will see this something went wrong and it will show even the error pop up. Try again. Close this. Okay, try again. Okay, right. Handling 404 errors with not found. So now handling 404 errors with not found function. Another way you can handle errors gracefully is by using not found function. While errors.tsx is used for catching all errors, not found can be used when you try to fetch a resource that doesn't exist. Okay, this is for specifically for the resource that doesn't exist. For example, visit invoice. Okay, so I think this record is not there in the database. 4 errors. Okay. Cannot read properties of undefined. this is fake UI, doesn't exist. Yeah, this is a UUID that doesn't exist in our database. So when we try to edit that, we will immediately see those kicks in, because this is a child route of invoices where error.tsx is defined. However, if you want to be more specific, you can show a 404 error to tell users sources they're trying to access has not been found. You can confirm that the source has been found when going to fetch invoice by ID. In the data.ts, where's data.ts, and then where is the fetch invoice by ID? So if you try to log invoice, now that you know that the invoice doesn't exist in your database, let's choose not found. If I go again to this URL, let's check our log. Now that you know the invoices doesn't exist in your database, let's choose not found to handle it. Navigate to dashboard invoices ID edit page. This is not found from next navigation ID. Go to invoices ID, edit invoices ID, edit page.tsx. We will import no not found. From next navigation, then you can use a conditional to invoke not found if the invoice doesn't exist. If not invoice, then run not found inside our page. Okay. If not invoice, then not found. Run this function not found. Perfect. Page will not throw an error if a specific invoice is not found. Okay, to show an error UI to a user, create a not found tsx file inside edit folder. Not found tsx in the same folder. Not found or tsx. Then inside not found, you paste the following code. I will go. So they have created a UI for this face down icon. Okay, refresh route, and if it is in a new following UI. Okay, if we refresh this route, okay, it's already there, not found. I could not find the requested invoice. Okay, so now we exactly know what happened, right? Like if I try to edit this, if I just put something inside it. So this is not, this is a UID that doesn't exist in our database. So if I click on this, okay, we will see something went wrong. Fundamental precedence over errors.tsx, so you can reach out for it when you want to handle more specific errors. Okay, it will come before error of tsx. Further reading, if you want to do some further reading regarding error handling, you can visit these links they have given in chapter 13. So our chapter 13 is completed now. Now let's go to chapter 14, improving accessibility. In the previous chapter, we looked at how catch errors, including 404 errors, and display fallback to the user. However, we will need to discuss another piece of puzzle: form validation. Let's see how to implement server-side validation with server actions, and how you can show form errors using unit form while keeping accessibility in mind. So, in this chapter, we will cover how to use SLint plugin GSX 8115 with Next.js to implement accessibility best practices, how to implement server-side validation, form validation, how to use React Fuse form state hook to handle errors and display them to user. Okay, now we will learn about accessibility. Accessibility refers to designing and implementing web applications that everyone can use, including those with disabilities. It's a vast topic that covers many areas such as keyboard navigation, cementing HTML, images, colors, videos. While we don't go in depth in accessibility in this course, we'll discuss the accessibility feature available in Next.js and some common practices to make your applications more accessible. Even there is some article by WebDev where they have covered the vast topic of accessibility. Wow, there are so many things that we have to take care if you want our website to be accessible. Okay. Next.js has this plugin by default to catch its accessibility issues early. Plugins once if your image is without alt text, use the AD and role attributes incorrectly and more things. Let's see how this works and add next lint as script in your package.json. Okay, we've added next lint in your package.json, then npm run lint in your terminal. Okay, we will run npm run lint. What it will do, you should see the following warning: no slint warnings or errors. Okay, currently we don't have any slint warnings or errors. However, what would happen if you had an image without an alt tag? Let's find out. Go to UI table.tsx, UI. Where is the table? Invoices. Okay, it's under invoices. Table was tsx. Now what? We have to search for an image. Let's find out image. Let's just comment out the alt tag. Okay, we can't comment. Just delete it. Then npm run lint again should see the following warning. We'll run this again. We will see the following warning. Image element must have an alt at prop, either with meaningful text or an empty string for decorative images. Okay. Right. So this was the slint warning by Next.js to help us solve the accessibility issues in our site. If you try to deploy your application virtually, this one, the warning should also show up in the build logs. This is because the next lint runs as part of build process. So you can run lint locally to catch accessibility issues before deploying your applications. Okay, this can be run. This can be handy. Bring form accessibility. Improving form accessibility. Now, what they have improved is form accessibility in cementing HTML using cementing elements input options instead of div. This allows assistive technologies AT to focus on the input elements and provide appropriate contextual information to the user, making the form easier to navigate and understand. Labeling, including label and HTML4 attributes, ensure that each form field has a descriptive text label. This improves assistive technologies support by providing text and also enhances usability by allowing user to click on the label, focus on to focus on the corresponding input field. Then focus outline, the British style to show an outline when they are in focus. This creative accessibility at visually indicates the active element on page, helping both keyboard screen reader to understand where they are on the form. Okay, this can you can verify by pressing tab. Okay, let's try to edit it. We're here. If we click on tab, we're slowly moving in our form validation. Go to dashboard invoices, create and submit an empty form. What would happen? We will submit an empty form. It throws an error. So what? You got an error. This is because you are sending empty form values to your server action. You can prevent this by validating your form on the client. Okay, so that's where validation comes in. We have put a like empty form, so that should not happen. So that's where you have to use the validations. Client side validation. There are a couple of ways you can validate your form. The simplest would be to rely on form validation provided by browser by adding required attribute. Yes, this is the very basic thing of like telling the users that some particular field is required, so they cannot fill a form without filling this particular field. Submit the form. You want to see browser one. UI invoices create form. Inside UI invoices create form, we will, where was our input? Okay, there are, I think, 2 inputs or 3 inputs. Yes, 3 inputs. Just type in required, and after that there is this second input. We will also put required here. This is the third input. We will also put required in this also. Then after that we will again try to put this. So now they have given us the error, please fill in this field. So now we do not get an error. Form is also not submitted, but so they are prompting users to fill these fields. Okay, this approach is generally okay because some system technologies support browser validation. An alternative to client validation is server-side validation. Okay, this is new. Let's see how you can implement it in the next section. For now, delete the required attributes if you added them. We will just okay, now we have deleted our required attributes from our input tags inside form and our server-side validation. By validating forms on server, you can ensure your data is in the expected format before sending it to your database. Reduce the risk of malicious users bypassing client-side validation. Okay, this can happen. Have one source of truth for what is considered valid data. In your create form tsx component, import use form state hook from React DOM. Okay. Use form state from React DOM. So what now? Inside your form component, the use form hook take 2 arguments, action and initial state, and return 2 values, state dispatch, the form state and dispatch function similar to user reducer. Okay. Now inside our app UI invoice the create form tsx, we will copy this code, like we will write const stat. Inside our form, we'll write state dispatch. This is like the user reducer hook. And create invoice initial state. Create invoice and initial state. Okay, so we will use this, use form state. What happens? In the action, we will provide dispatch. Initial state key, anything you define in this case, create an object with two empty keys, message and errors. Okay, we'll define in a variable our initial state. Initial state, it can be message of null and errors object having empty. Now there is an error for create invoice, I think. This may seem confusing initially, but it will make some more sense once you update the server action. Let's do that now. In action.tss file, you can use job to validate form data and update form schema. Action lib. Actions.tsx. Now we can update our schemas. What they're saying in customers, invalid type error, customer ID. Where is the customer ID? Inside this, we will write invalid type error. Please select a customer. If there is no customer ID, please, in the browser it will say please select a customer. Okay. Also in amount, the codes dot number, also with number we will write dot gt. It should be greater than 0. Please enter an amount greater than $0. So it should be greater than 0. If it is not, it will show a message saying please enter an amount greater than $0. Okay, now there is also for status. If there is invalid type error for status, we'll copy this. Please select an invoice status. If nothing is selected, please select an invoice status. So these are validations we have done in our form using Jod. Update create invoice action to accept two parameters. So now if this is temporary export type state, previous state is state. Okay. So we'll write about state export type errors. We'll copy this code actually. Let's copy this code, then remove this. We have if errors, then this if customer ID. Okay, so this is the type for our create invoice form data, same as before. Previous state contains the state passed from use state form hook. You wouldn't be using it in the action in this example, but it's a required prop. Okay, then change the jot parts function to save parts. Okay, create invoice, convert it into save parts. Validated fields. Validated fields. Okay. Save parts related an object containing either a success or error field. This will help handle validation more gracefully without having to put this logic inside try catch block. Before sending the information to your database, check if the form fields are validated correctly with the conditional. If the form validation fails, return errors early, otherwise continue. If not validation fails success, if we have some validation errors in our form, validation fails a success, then we want to return errors. Validation field dot error dot flatten dot field errors. Fields dot error dot flatten dot field errors. Message missing fields. The message will be missing fields. Failed to create invoice. Right? If validation field is not successful, we will return the function early with the error message from Zord. Finally, since you are handling form validation separately outside your try catch block, you can return a specific message for any database errors. The final code should look like this. Okay, we have not destructured the values from validator fields.data. Customer ID, amount, and status. validate fields dot data. Right. Okay, so our create invoice for actions is almost created. Great, now let's display that in your form. Back in the create form this company, you can access the errors using the form state. Now edit a new operator that checks for each specific error. For example, after customer field you can add inside invoices create form tsx, inside UI invoices create form, where we have to add inside select. Choose customer. Just below choose customer there is a select. We will write just below default value area described by, write customer error. Okay, is there a code for select customer? After select a customer, we'll copy this actually. Let me do this real quick. We just want this code. I don't know why that's not being copied from code snippet. After select a customer, we can write this. This is the ID customer error. Okay, area leave polite, area to make it true. Okay, state if there is a state errors. Then customer ID, state errors customer ID dot map. Okay, that's the first time I have seen the code like this. Using the example above, add errors to remaining form field. You should show a message. You should also show a message at the bottom of the form. If any fields are missing, your UI should look like this. Now let's what error it's showing me. Let's go to our new tab. Inside investigators, it is select server component. You should put in count that needs use forms. Have they told us to also write use client? Let me check. Okay, they have also told us to use client at the top. Okay. So now it will work. Let's again run the development server. Let's check if it's working. Dashboard, invoices, close this tab. Okay, now it's working. Now let's try to edit one of our records. No, let's try to create invoice. UI invoices, create form. UI invoices, create form. We have already used use client. Okay, we have used capital C. We have to use small c. Now our page is rendered. Now let's see if we try to submit a empty form. Please select a customer, because okay, we have added this and the customer error, polite. Okay, so it's showing us the error. So it will show the select error. It's area described by is customer error, and we have now added a new div. Its ID is customer error, so that's why its error is shown here. So again, we can copy this code. After this, we can paste the same code. We can actually write here area described by what we can write mount error. We can now put the ID mount error. Same for invoice status. If let's copy this div right here, we will paste this. Now I will write it the status error. Copy this, and inside this our input I will write area described by status error. Okay, now if I try to enter empty form, now it is showing error everywhere. Please select a customer. Please select they have customers everywhere. Name customer ID. Okay, we have to put the name here. Really? Okay, now it's coming. We have to put a name here. What is the name here? Status. So we have to put at the place of after errors, if errors, if state or errors, status, and state or errors status dot map. Okay, if there are errors, then it will map these errors inside this. So that's again, if we create, we have a different error messages. Create, please select a customer, please enter amount greater than 0, please select invoice. So that's what is happening here, right? Initial state can be anything you define. Okay, sorry, I was by mistake gone to at the top. Okay, we have done this. We have this error. Okay, we have completed chapter 14. Right, great. You have learned how to improve accessibility in your forms and with the React form status and server-side validations. We've just learned how we can do server-side validations. Next is authentication. Your application is almost ready. In the next chapter, we will learn how to add authentication in your application using Next.js. Okay. Adding authentication. In this chapter, we will learn authentication to your data dashboard. In this chapter, we'll cover what is authentication, how to add authentication to your app using Next.auth, how to use middleware to redirect your users and protect your routes, how to use React's use form status and use form state to handle pending states and form errors. So let me just go to home. Okay, what is authentication? Authentication is a key part of any web applications today. It's how a system checks if a user is who say they are. Okay. A secure website often uses multiple ways to check a user identity. For instance, after entering a username and password, the site may send a verification code to your device or use an external app like Google Authenticator. This two-factor authentication helps increase security. Even if someone learns your password, they cannot access your account without your unique token. Right? Authentication versus authorization. Authentication is about making sure the user is who they say they are. Okay. So if you are like a user Jack, you have entered your password, and so it will check if your email or password is correct or your identity is correct. But authorization is something else. Once the user identity is confirmed, it is after authentication. Authorization decides what parts of application they are allowed to use. Sometimes you may suppose you have logged in, but you are not able to access this customers tab. So that is the authorization that comes after authentication. So authentication takes checks who you are, and authorization determines what you can do as access in the application. Right, creating the login route. I will be back just in a minute. Now first we will create a login page inside app login page.tsx. Paste the following code inside our app. We'll create login, and inside this we will create page.tsx. And we'll copy this code, we'll paste it here. So this is our from which we will update later in the chapter. Okay, next auth.js. What is it? We will be using Next.js auth.js to add authentication to your application. Next auth.js abstracts away much of the complexity involved in managing sessions, sign in and sign out, and other aspects of authentication. While you can manually implement these features, the process can be time consuming and error prone. Next auth.js simplifies the process and providing a unified solution for auth in Next.js applications. Setting up Next auth.js. Install Next auth.js by running the following commands in your terminal. We will do this inside our terminal. Next auth beta. Okay, here you can installing beta version of Next auth which is compatible with Next.js 14. Next, generate a secret key for your application. Generate a secret key for your application. This key is used to encrypt cookies, ensuring the security of user sessions. You can do this by running the following command in terminal. Okay, open SSL. We will write open SSL base6432. This is our secret key. Then in your env file, add your generated key to auth secret variables. Okay, in our env file, we will write auth secret. This is our auth secret. Okay, this is our auth secret now. For auth to work in production, you will need to update your environment variables in your project Vercel project to check out this guide on how to add environment variables on Vercel. Okay, we'll check that a little bit later. Add the pages option. Create an auth config file, the root of project. Okay, at our root of our project, we will create auth.config.ts. This object export an auth config object. This object will contain the configuration options for next auth. For now, it will only contain the pages option. Close the terminal. Pages, sign in, login. Okay. You can use the pages option to specify the route for custom sign in, sign out, and error pages. This is not required, but by adding sign in login into our pages option, the user will be redirected to our custom login page rather than the next auth default page. Protecting error routes with next auth middleware. This will prevent users from accessing dashboard pages unless they are logged in. Okay. Inside our auth config, we will write this. Okay. Write this. Okay, so this is providers satisfies. Okay, let me write it here. Okay, now it's good. Authorized callback is used to verify if the request is authorized. Okay, so it is checking is logged in and is on dashboard. Okay, is authorized to access, and it will read or request is authorized to access page via next middleware. It is called before a request is completed. It receives an object with auth and request properties. The auth property contains user sessions and the request property contains incoming request. Okay, the provider's option is an array where you list different login options. For now, it is an empty array. It is an empty array. Or to certify next auth config. You will learn more about in adding credential provider section. Next, you will need to import auth config object into middleware file. At the root of your project, you'll create a file called middleware.ts. Okay, root of our project, middleware.ts. We'll just copy this code. Import next auth. From next auth config, we have just created from auth config.ts. We have provided next auth with auth config. Here we are initializing next auth, okay, with auth config object and exporting auth property. You are also using the matcher option from middleware to specify that it should run on specific paths. Advantage of employing middleware for this task is that protected auth will not even start rendering until the middleware verifies the authentication, enhancing both security and performance of your application. Password hashing. It's good practice to hash passwords before storing them in database. Hashing converts a password into fixed length string of characters which appears random, providing layer of security even if user's data is exposed. In your c.js file, you used a package called bcrypt. Okay. To hash users' password before storing it in database, you will use it again later in this chapter to compare that password entered by user matches the one in the database. However, you will need to create a separate file for bcrypt package. This is because bcrypt relies on Node.js APIs not available in Next.js middleware. Create a new file called a that spreads here auth config object. Okay, again new file auth.ts auth config. Okay, so auth sign in sign out, it is destructuring these functions. Adding credential providers. Next, you will need to add providers. So for this stream, I think I will cover next functionality of this Next.js in the next live stream. So until that, thank you for watching. I may be even considering uploading a full video of this dashboard by covering all these chapters. So only chapters that remained are we are almost at chapter 15, adding authentication. After that, there is adding metadata for SEO. I think 15 and 16 I will cover tomorrow. So Until that, bye bye and thank you for watching.